Hello, welcome to Breakfast Central on a Wednesday, the perfect midpoint to fill you up and charge you for the rest of the week. I am Benga Boroa. We have a lot in store in front of you today, from news to insightful discussions and trending topics. This is the right place to be.
All right, and I am Olive Emodi, glad to be back here again. Welcome to the show. Lots of interesting and insightful conversations to have within the next 2 hours. Unfortunately, we're starting off with some terrible news. It seems like when you hear Otedola, and it's not the Otedola himself, you hear of Otedola Bridge, it's almost always bad news we hear of Otedola Bridge. Yesterday, reports had it that there was an explosion. And we did have our News Central correspondents on site to interview eyewitnesses, and they got eyewitness reports about the tanker incident. There was an explosion. We're not quite sure what the situation is regarding loss of lives. Eyewitnesses claim that there were loss of lives. There's no official statement yet to let us know what the true position is regarding that, but we do hear that some churches and vehicles were affected, and it's just a really sorry sight. It's really sad.
I mean, it's not the first time it's happening. It's a sad reoccurrence of accidents at this particular bridge. It seems that there may be powers and principalities, I don't know, or some engineering defect with the design. Something has to be done, because why always Otedola Bridge all the time?
I'm glad that you mentioned that this is not the first time, because I went to go and check some of the accidents that occurred there. In 2018, June 2018, a tanker laden with petroleum products exploded, killing at least 12 people and destroying 54 vehicles. At the time, of course, there was a lot of anger about this. Then in September 2019, another tanker fell off the same bridge, spilling diesel and causing a shutdown of vehicular movement along the bridge. A month later, another tanker fell on the same bridge, spilling nearly 33,000 liters of petrol. 4 people were said to have been injured. 2 days later, yet another tanker with 45,000 liters of fuel fell at the same bridge. Many such incidents have been recorded every month. In May 2020, for example, 2 of such were reported. On May 5th, tankers loaded with kerosene and diesel had a head-on collision. So we can start to go on. And then, yesterday, even before this one happened, there was an earlier one that had happened in the morning that caused gridlock. And yes, that's what you can see on the screen.
Just look at that gridlock. So imagine we also need to quantify time. There's a song that used to be popular in the 1980s and 90s, Time Now Money. You know, it's really ridiculous how much time, productive time, people waste in. And this is very avoidable, and it's really sad. Imagine if there was an emergency, there was a pregnant woman, somebody needs to get to the hospital, you have appointments to make. It just happens all the time.
I read an article that was written in 2020 about the same Otedola Bridge, and they were asking about the witches of Otedola Bridge. Of course, just like you said, many people will say there are spiritual elements behind it. But the analysis of what occurred was, or the conclusion by that article was that it will be important for civil engineers to have a proper look at the structure of the bridge, that the bridge is so slopey in a way that would easily lead to brake failures. Now, a number of the accidents that we've seen before now as a result of brake failures, and there's a head-on collision with another vehicle or one tanker falls down. So it's important to check the vehicles to ensure that the drivers of these tankers, if a regular driver of a regular car is expected to do due diligence, you do your roadworthiness certificate and all the others, those who are driving tankers need to do extra due diligence to ensure that the tankers are in a state that is, will not cause any form of danger when they're plying the roads. That's one.
Olive, I'm just wondering why this hasn't happened. You just gave us a whole litany of the history of accidents at this bridge. When it happens once, okay, twice, thrice, 4 times, then the government needs to declare a state of emergency and do something about it.
Because there's obviously something there, a structural defect of some sort. Because from that, referencing that, the article did say that the bridge was sloppy in a way that would trigger a brake failure if the brake pad wasn't maybe properly, the brake hadn't been properly serviced or the like. So,
and we're also lucky that the element of lives lost and property lost was minimal, and I think that's due to an element of luck, because it could have been worse yesterday. News Central's Dapo Adegboye was at the scene of the accident yesterday and did a report from there, and he did interview a young man that lost the Sienna bus. It just had to flee for life at the nick of time. Otherwise, it would have been worse. The Punch newspaper is reporting one dead so far, buildings damaged and vehicles lost. But I mean, human life is not can't be replaced.
Never
we
can
really
be.
need to look into our emergency response timing to avoid all those sorts of things. And we also need to be proactive in preventing accidents, not all coming up with committees and speaking English after these disasters have happened.
And just to point out, we hope that this is not a situation where Nigerians will say, Otedola Bridge again, and everybody feels infuriated about it, and after a while, it's swept under the carpet until the next 2-3 months when we have another accident on the same bridge. There needs to be a state of emergency declared on that bridge. Investigation is to occur as to why this is happening. And I can't say at this point that we need to be proactive, because even if the government jumps into action now, we're jumping into action a little too late because of all the ones that have happened before now.
Let's
better
try
late
and
than
use
never.
alternative means of transportation. The Lagos-Ibadan train service, it has about a few trains that go to Ibadan or Abeokuta every day. You don't have to put your car on the road every time if it's avoidable, and it's very comfortable and pleasant. I've been on the ride a few times, so let's do that if we can. Now, moving on to our next discussion this morning on Wake Up Conversations. The House of Representatives is asking the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, to block all pornographic sites in Nigeria. I guess it's about time you do that. And this has led to a lot of conversation, as usual. Mixed reactions. The Nigerian House of Representatives has directed the Nigerian Communications Commission to ensure the blocking of all pornographic sites in the country. The House wants the Commission to compel all internet service providers to block all such contents with immediate effect. Dalhatu Tofaki, APC Congress lawmaker from Katsina State, sponsored the motion. While presenting the motion, he emphasized that cyber pornography is a growing global concern and noted that Nigeria has not done enough to tackle the issue. According to him, Nigeria is a highly religious country where major faiths preach against and prohibit nudity and obscenity. The lawmaker went further to state that several countries across Asia, Africa, and the Middle East have enacted laws banning pornography.
Well, that's an interesting update there. Religious organizations, people who, and like you said rightly, we're a very religious country that frowns at a lot of these conversations. But let's first of all take a look at this video before we come back to share our reactions.
Internet websites hosting pornographic contents and sanction defaulting internet service providers, standing in the name of Honorable Alatu Shehu Tafoki. Honorable Tafoki is invited to move the motion.
Mr. Speaker, very distinguished colleagues, I remain Honorable Engineer Shehu Alatu Tafoki, representing Paskari, Kankara Sabwa Federal Constituency. I'm from Katsina State. I rise to move a motion for the need to block internet website hosting pornographic content and sanction defaulting internet service providers. The House notes that cyber pornography is fast becoming a global problem and no concrete steps have been taken to curb the phenomenon of cyber pornography in Nigeria. Aware that Nigeria is a highly religious country and all the major religions in the country have forbidden nudity and obscenity in any form. Also note that countries across Asia, Africa, and the Middle East have enacted legislation that ban pornography in their domains. Aware that renowned psychologists and sociologists around the world have issued stern warning on this psychological, sociological, and mental consequences of viewing pornography contents. Concerned deeply that some of the immediate effects of viewing pornography contents include A, causing deception in marriage and which may later on affect family life. B, promoting adultery, prostitution, and many oral expectations that can result in dangerous, promiscuous behavior. C, leading to addiction, escalation, desensitization, and the acting out sexually by one person. D. Change of attitude toward oneself and his family. Resolve 2. 1. Urge the Nigerian Communication Commission, NCC, to direct the internet service providers operating in the country to take immediate steps to block all websites that host obscene and pornography content. 2. Also urge the Nigerian Communication Commission to apply the full rigors of the Nigerian Communication Act and National Information Technology Development Act, NIDA, against the defaulting internet service providers. And finally, mandate the Committee of Communication and Legislative Compliance.
So there you have it from the honorable lawmaker stating why this should be banned. But others have argued that, you have most of these websites adult websites. That's why they're called adult websites, and there's an age limit to access them. And organizations and families can also have parental guidance on their internet facilities and also firewalls to block this. That the Nigerian government's focus is on majoring on minor issues. That what they're concerned about is bringing down the cost of living, the price of commodities and all of that. Who asked them to enact this? That people have a way of self-regulating. Well, Olive, what's your take on this?
I mean, at the end of the day, I think that regardless of what side of the divide you're on, and I know that a number of times we will say, oh, is that the most pressing issue? Is it a problem? Yes, it is a problem. Is it the only problem? No, it's not the only problem. So one after
do two things or multiple things at the same time.
Exactly. And when we talk about young people, unfortunately, these young people have access to internet. They do not, and they have unfettered access to internet. Sometimes even with the parental control, children are becoming smarter by the day.
So they say, are you 18 years and above?
They will lie.
Wow. Aren't they afraid of going to hell?
It doesn't look like they are at this point. But then again, people have started to also raise concerns about the fact that if they are doing this for pornography, they should also do this for gambling. Nigeria is not as... Okay. Yeah, because they would argue that...
And it has the same psychological
addiction.
effects.
Yes, exactly. It has the same addictive effect. So we'll see in the coming weeks how this will turn out. But for people who are the religious people, will applaud this move. I applaud this move. I think that it's a struggle for a number of people, and sometimes making it. There are people who are addicted to that, don't even like the fact that they are addicted to it, and taking away the access, the easy access, will help. Shorten that journey of addiction.
If you go to the Middle East and you try the firewalls, you won't have access to it. So it's a right step. But there's one more concern. From people. I saw this argument online. They said, for young couples who just got into marriage and have been virgins, how would they learn how to consummate their marriage? You should go ask
Adam and Eve how they learned.
Well, that's way back. So I don't know. If you have any suggestions for them, wow, you can always reach out. No.
All right, Malam Nasir El-Rufai is in the news for several reasons. He has announced his movement from the All Progressives Congress to SDP, and there have been mixed reactions on social media. While some are rejoicing that this is happening, there are others who are saying we will never forget what El-Rufai has done, the statements he's made, and how strongly he, for example, supported the Muslim ticket. There are people who, some of the reactions we've seen are people who have said that he supported statements that position him to seem like a religious bigot. So they don't know exactly what to make of it. The bigger picture might be that
joining the SDP has also been talking. Yes,
he's been talking a lot to Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. There are those who think that this is just a ploy to divide the votes for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But let's take a look at this video and we'll come back.
The crisis that 1990 is facing in the Labour Party is contrived and funded by the government of the day. Everyone knows it. Jumping from one court to another is all designed to distract the party leadership from focusing on their core functions. The same thing is happening in the PDP. Worse. Even the NNPP has been targeted for destruction. There are people that have been resourced to go and cause problems in the NNPP. The last thing I read about NNPP was that one faction of the party has has expelled Kwankwaso and the sitting governor. When you see things like that, you know it's contrived crisis. Which party sacks a sitting governor?
And the only governor they have.
And the only governor they have. You know it's contrived. I don't have the details.
There's always been a certified feather ruffler. Amit is a sharpshooter and is talking. He said, look, this crisis that you're seeing in all these political parties are contrived. It's being sponsored by the ruling APC. And he made example of the NNPP in Kano State. What political party? Your only governor, you expel that governor. Where do we witness this sort of things? And I wonder what you think, Olive. Do you think the APC is so sophisticated to plant moles in parties?
Oh yes, I think that is definitely an option. I think that with politicians, nothing is out of reach. They can do anything to keep themselves, nothing is off limits. They'll do anything to keep themselves in power. We did have a guest here. I'm not sure if it's Funsho Doherty now. I don't want to misquote him, but I remember asking the guest if he thought that a number of these were sponsored, and he said, of course, that these people have ensured that they do whatever they need to do to divide the votes of the opposition or whatever it is. So yes, it's possible that the APC
one of the biggest examples that people point to is the FCT minister, is the elephant in the room. They say is PDP in APC clothing. And we spoke to a chieftain of the People's Democratic Party and said, they're looking at discussions towards expelling him. And I have to commend the former FCT minister, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, for being a gentleman. You're tired of a party, you're criticizing the party.
They are not taking your criticism.
The gentlemanly thing to do
is to leave.
And he's left. So kudos to him. But on the other side, we have the FCT minister who's
one leg in APC and one leg in PDP, and very actively.
And one lung.
Exactly. When he was governor of Rivers State, very actively, many argued that he worked against the interest of his political party in the state, and he was championing the cause of Rivers State, championing the cause of the People's Democratic Party. Of course, this is because they will link it back again to the fact that he did not get the presidential ticket. He didn't get the ticket, but
you also wonder if these parties don't have internal disciplinary mechanisms.
They do, but the truth is, with the kind of influence that someone as influential as the FCT minister wields, how will they be able to touch him? We've asked several guests on this show, even PDP members, what they think about his actions and if they amount to anti-party activities. And many of them would agree that his actions over the course of the past year or two have amounted to anti-party activities. Can the PDP fire him? That's another question.
So one man is bigger than the constitution of the party.
They will disagree with you, but what they say is not really tallying with what they're doing. Before he tried with the G5 wielded a form of influence in the People's Democratic Party, strong enough to distract and shake the party from its maybe core mandate, strong enough to unsettle the party, but the party was not strong enough to sanction the G5 members. And now, it is what it is. But away from the drama with Nasir El-Rufai, and at the end of the day, I guess we'll see what the bigger picture is, or what the political play. Many have said that this is targeting the incoming presidential elections, but we'll see what his plans are and how Nigerians will respond to that. But it does not seem like the drama between Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio, and Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan will come to an end. I wonder if I'm even allowed to refer to her as a senator at this point, judging from the fact that she was suspended a few days ago, suspended for 6 months, and said she's not allowed to introduce herself as a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, home or abroad. She's taking the matter she's taking the matter further, and this time she's brought the awareness to the international audience, as she has reported Senate President Godswill Akpabio to the United Nations, saying that she's come on behalf of the women in Nigeria to report what is happening in her country. Her reports has garnered mixed reactions on social media, with some saying that this fight is not coming to an end, and that Senate President messed with the wrong woman because he should remember what she did when she was vying for this position, when she had to stand face to head with Yahaya Bello, Kogi State Governor, with the roads that were broken. The broken roads eventually led her to the Senate, and that she's not someone that will be kicked out quite easily. But this is a conversation that we're going to explore in depth when we will talking about it. It's one of our bigger stories today, and we'll be touching on it much later. If we are welcome to share your thoughts when we open the phone lines, as well as I'm sure that it will be one of the stories on the papers. But that's all that we have. We'll go on a very quick break, and when we come back, we'll take our breakfast headlines before we delve into our top stories. Stay with us.
Hello, welcome to Breakfast Headlines. I am Benga Aborowa. The news begins in Ondo State on a rather sad note where no fewer than 20 persons in 4 communities in Akure North local government area following an attack by gunmen suspected to be bandits on Saturday. The assailants attacked Abba Alajido, Abba Sunday, Abba Pastor and Ademekun communities, killing and injuring several residents. Sources say many farmers and other villagers were killed in the midnight raid. The real toll is believed to be around 40 persons, while some managed to escape with injuries. The police sources confirmed the attack, stating that officers from the State Police Command had been deployed to the affected areas. Also reacting to the attack, the regent of Ademekun community, Princess Adekemisola Adelowo, condemned the killings and revealed that locals had had a running battle with headsmen for the past 6 years. Staying in Ondo State, where the Supreme Court has affirmed Lucky Aiyedatiwa of the All Progressive Congress as the governor of Ondo State, dismissing a challenge by the People's Democratic Party and its candidate Agbola Ajayi. Justice Gabriel ruled that Ajayi's appeal, which alleged discrepancies in Deputy Governor Olaide Adelami's name change, lacked merit. The court upheld the lower court's decision that dismissed the case on procedural grounds, ruling that Ajayi lacked the legal standing to sue and filed the case beyond the 14-day limit. The Apex Court described the petition as baseless and ordered Ajayi to pay 2 million naira in costs to each of the 4 respondents. Now, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has appointed Dr. Mohammed Aminu as Registrar and CEO of the National Business and Technical Examination Board, NABTEB. This was disclosed in a statement released on and signed by Bayo Onanuga, Special Advisor to the President. Dr. Aminu, an expert in automobile technology, brings 28 years of experience in teaching, research and policy development. Until now, he was Director of Procurement at Naseni. Meanwhile, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has appointed Idris Olorunibe as Chairman of the Universal Basic Education Commission Board. Razak Olajunwon and Tunde Ajibulu were named Deputy Executive Secretaries. The President urged the new appointees to drive education reforms and enhance vocational training to boost Nigeria's workforce. The Petroleum Product Retail Outlets Owners Association of Nigeria, PETROAN, has expressed concern over recent petrol price reductions by the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited, NNPC, and Dangote Refinery, stating that these sudden changes have led to financial losses for the fuel marketers. In response, PETROAN is advocating for a regulatory framework to ensure fuel price stability for at least 6 months to foster a more predictable investment environment in the downstream sector. Recall that last week, NNPC reduced its retail petrol prices to 869 and 880 per litre in Lagos and Abuja, down from 945 naira and 965 naira respectively. This move followed Dangote Refinery's decision to lower its ex-depot petrol price from 890 naira to 825 naira per litre, triggering a competitive price adjustment in the market. PETROAN spokesperson Joseph Obele had stated that these abrupt price fluctuations have resulted in billions of naira in losses for petrol marketers, raising concerns about the stability and attractiveness of the sector for future investment. Joining us now is the National President of the Petroleum Product Retail Outlets Owners Association of Nigeria, Dr. Billy Gills. Harry, Thank you very much, Dr. Harry, for joining us on Breakfast Central this morning.
Thank you.
Now, many Nigerians have been following the statements issued by your organization, PETROAN, and they say, you know, this is very anti-patriotic, it's anti-people. Now, why would you condemn the reduction? Why would you call for a fuel price reduction increase? Why would you be against the reduction of fuel price?
No, we are not against decrease of fuel price. We are very much in support of affordable pricing across the board. And we are very much supportive of our local refining capacity. Our concern is if this becomes too often and it keeps depleting our capital, we might get to the point where we will not be in business. So we are completely in support of the well-being of Nigerians, and we consistently advocate and stand with that. But if we are bought products for, say, $8.90, and then the price suddenly reduces to $8.25, so we have a 65 naira gap, and this is across board, not just for one particular refinery. Mm-hmm. All the refineries are doing the same thing, and we are happy about that. But there should be a mechanism to protect us. That's all we are absent. That's what we are pointing at.
Now, Dr. Harry, PETROAN has also called for price stability for at least 6 months. How do you propose implementing this, knowing that we're in a free market economy, the sector has been deregulated? What sort of mechanisms would you propose to implement this?
Well, it's not a difficult thing to do. The PIA that we relies profusely on how the industry should work is simply is clear in stating how our price mechanism should be. And all we are saying is that, look, if there's something wrong in the way that the pricing is being set, we should get to the drawing board and rejig it. Simple reason. If the price is not stable, it will be heading to lack of interest in the sector. Within the sector, we need investors every other day, and we need to encourage that. So while we want to encourage it, we must also look at the capital available to do the business. So if we keep shifting prices without any notice, and then we buy product today, by tomorrow the price come down, we salute them. We salute the refiners for doing all this good job, but they should clearly, be a point where we should not, cross the line.
Yeah, but Dr. Harry, wouldn't you be violating free market principles by doing this, but by what you're proposing? Because the concept and the idea
I'm sure you've heard of price gouging, and you've heard of regulating prices when they get out of hand. We are not even asking for that. We are just saying, look, if prices must change, there must be an industry understanding of how that works. And in as much as we applaud all the refiners for reducing the price for the benefit of Nigerians, it depletes from our own source of financing. And that's what we are shouting about. That's what we are pointing to, that there's a need to ensure, that there is some method of price stability.
Members
of course, that's where it's going to go, regardless of what the market forces say. Are you saying now that the price that the price was reduced was determined by the force of supply and demand? So you have to check all that. It's that we should get out of the point of being very sentimental. This is real business, and it impacts our lives.
Talking about real business, Dr. Harry,
profit to be guaranteed.
Talking about real business and its impact on PETROAN members, quite a number of your members, if not all of them, have incurred significant losses due to this reduction. Just to have an idea, can you quantify the extent of these losses and explain how this affects future investment?
if I landed product in my station at 895 or 899 or 900 after adding logistics, and then suddenly my competitors are selling at 860, 845, 865. Where am I going to sell my product? We are not as big as refiners. We are not as big as most of the, the big wigs. We are just, providing services and expanding their own efficiency also. Yeah. And we need to be given a room to be able to survive.
All right. Beyond the proposed 6-month term that we are seeing them asking for, what strategies can be implemented to ensure that we have a further, more stable pricing system in the long run?
Well, if we do have the liberalized trade market that we are asking for, will include all sources of sourcing for petroleum products. And if the regulators and the federal Consumer Protection Council, sits on the table to discuss what really should operate, because it's not enough just to say, oh, petroleum product has been reduced. What is the effect? What is the impact on the economy? How does it? What is the turnaround time that is going to have, and investment capital that will be able to be stay liquid in the market? So 6 months is, I believe, will be just what we think should be a pilot stage, when we should be able to look at what are the real indicators of what inputs refiners make, and what are the possible prices that will make import.
Hello, sir. Are you still there? All right. We're hoping that we can still reconnect with him and, have a further conversation regarding this. Also, just to find out exactly what might be the potential downsides, because when preferring a solution, what might look like a temporary solution that will be appeasing to all the parties involved, it's important to consider what could potentially go wrong and, forestall these. So I'm hoping that he can come back to speak to us about what the potentials are, or what could potentially go wrong if they have considered what might he's spoken to the benefits of this price stabilization strategy for the next 6 months.
And a lot of Nigerians, were very price sensitive. Once they saw the headline that, this reduction is affecting their profit margins and all of that they don't like it. And of course, you trust newsmen to be sensational. They want those eyeballs. So the headline was very attractive. So many people condemned PETROAN, but from his analysis so far, and its explanation, you could see reason to it that no, they're not. They support the regulation of the industry. They support cheaper prices, but it should be done in a sort of way. But on the flip side, Nigerians will tell you that, do you give us 6 months notice before you increase? And why don't you complain? Why don't we see these complaints when there's an increase in petroleum products? We've been bearing the brunt, so sorry to the marketers that you just have to. We all share the loss, one way or the other.
And this is a very key conversation to have, because our economy is largely based on oil. We're an economy that once there's an increase in the pump price of petrol, it affects every single thing.
But I've not seen things dropping. The Naira has stabilized shortly.
To an extent,
apart from food prices. But why is this not happening? Why are they defying principles of economics? Even marketers, road transport workers union are saying, we're not reducing the price of transportation. And fuel is what they use to move people around. They say, okay, fuel prices come down, but spare parts are still expensive. The roads are still bad. They're causing wear and tear for our vehicles. So we're using that saving from the cheap petrol to fix these other things. And
to an extent, so I think there are two sides to that argument. On the one hand, you would say that the volatility of the Nigerian economy ensures that these people are on guard, so that when any surprise comes, they're fully prepared. But then there's also the wickedness of Nigerians that come to play in a number of these things, because they can see
find a way to,
the first excuse they will give, which can be logical, again, is that they already bought stock with the previous price and they have to ensure that they finish selling out everything in their store and then they can revert. But sometimes they never revert because these are the same people who bought things with the previous, for example, with a previous pricing, and when they hear that there's been an increase, even without purchasing, they automatically increase.
We witnessed all of this. Dr. Harris back.
Yes, all right. Welcome back, sir. Before you went, before the disconnection, I was hoping you can speak to the potential of what might go wrong. We've seen the strengths, like you've spoken to, of this pricing model for the next 6 months, this stabilization of the pricing model. But is there any potential of what might go wrong? Have we considered that? If yes, what measures have been taken to guard against them?
Sorry, I'm not hearing you clearly.
I was asking that you've spoken to the advantages of this price stabilization for the next 6 months, but are there maybe any downsides to it that could occur? And have we considered what these downsides might be?
Well, we as very responsible organization, we have just pointed out what we think might go wrong. It is left for the industry players and the regulatory authorities to take decisions, especially using the mechanism of the industry, petroleum industry stakeholders forum, to be able to analyze what these potential benefits and potential difficulties will be. And then Nigerians will be the better. It will not be correct if we do not say what is likely going to go wrong in the future. We are the grassroots. We are the ones that are mostly impacted by any of these changes. And I heard someone say, oh, when prices change upwards, we just adjust. It's not really as simple and straightforward as that. PETROAN has rules, and these rules are made by members very tenaciously.
But the consumers will tell you that once there's an increase, there's automatic adjustment and there's no complaint about price stability.
No, I disagree. I disagree with you.
I mean, that's what the consumers witness. But moving on to other issues, the Dangote Refinery said their production capacity now can take care of all of Nigeria's petroleum needs, and there are also other refineries that are coming on board. The industry has been deregulated. Now, as a patriotic Nigerian, why do your members still believe in importing refined products from overseas when these products can be locally sourced and save us scarce FX?
Well, it is a business of numbers. The profit margins that retailers or anyone in the industry is very slim. So we will always look out for what will be in the best interest of continuing the business. Business sustainability and growth is the focus of whatever enterprise we engage in. We are not in business as charity. We certainly want to be able to serve Nigerians very effectively and efficiently. But we have to look at the dynamics of how the business runs. If I can import products and get a better margin and give the Nigerians a much better pricing indicator, I will offer that. And this does not mean that I'm not going to patronize or we're not going to patronize local refineries. We do patronize all of them, from the biggest to the smallest modular refineries. PETROAN members buy products from them for system. So we'll continue to do that. But what we have all just realized is we need a fully liberalized market where we can source from anywhere. So yes, we must be patriotic. And of course, PETROAN has been in the forefront of calling for those values. But at the end of the day, we have to look at the numbers. It's the bottom line that determines where we're going. We want to be in business. We want Nigerians to be served efficiently and very well with this very critical product that is driving our energy.
All right.
So that's where you have to look at it for.
So what would you say? I mean, there's been a lot of instability that we've observed with regards to the pricing of petrol in Nigeria in the past year. But is there a possibility that you can make predictions for what the price trends will look like in Nigeria for fuel in the next 1 year?
Well, that is why we have opted to advocate for some mechanism to stabilize the price for at least 180 days. And that will be enough time to see how the market forces really operate. Whether supply is controlling the price or demand is controlling the price. And so what we know from our records and our statistics is that the prices will keep going up and coming down, keep going up and coming down until we're able to get an equilibrium. And this is where we think that the regulators and the Federal Consumer Protection Council should come in to really drill deeply into what the industry is all about, knowing that this industry is affecting every part of the economic growth of Nigeria. And that's where we stand.
Thank you so much for your time and insights, Dr. Harry. It was a pleasure speaking with you on Breakfast Central this morning. We do hope to have you back in the nearest future. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, moving on to other stories. After spending several years in captivity, 75 hostages have been handed over to the Borno state government at the Malari military cantonment. The individuals were held by insurgents for years in various camps, and we, of course, have a report in this regard. They were held in various hideouts across the region. Umar Kiowa brings us more in this report.
Efforts are continuing to enforce and maintain peace in the Lake Chad region. As part of the effort, these rescued individuals, largely women and children, smile as they regain their freedom after enduring years in captivity with terrorists in Sambisa forest. The Borno state government happily received the rescued persons, committing to supporting them and facilitating their reunion with family members.
As part of our ongoing clearance efforts, troops from 21 Special Armor Brigade and 199 Special Forces Battalion recently conducted successful offensive operations under Operation Desert Sanity 4 in the Sambisa forest. Key terrorist enclaves in Ukuba, Ijimia, Sabi Huba, Garin Fallujah, and Gobara were cleared, leading to the rescue of 75 civilians, including 7 adult males, 34 women, and 34 children.
The military used the opportunity to call on marauding terrorists to surrender or pay the supreme price for their actions.
This concept of handing over rescued women and children and giving them proper care is quite laudable. We will continue to sustain this, and we urge our dear brothers and sisters that are still in the bush to do us or do the country a favor on understanding that peace is inevitable.
We are going to provide them with services. We provide services like livelihood support. We provide services like counseling services, mental health and psychosocial support, livelihood program for the women, and also educational services for the children, so that we enroll them back to school when they go back to their communities.
Other families with loved ones still in captivity remain hopeful as the armed forces have pledged to sustain efforts to rescue them and ensure peace throughout the Lake Chad region. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umar Kirawa.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has called for the speedy implementation of the recent Supreme Court judgment in favor of 27 lawmakers in Rivers State, loyal to the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike. President Tinubu made this call as he received elders from Rivers State and members of the Pan-Niger Delta Forum, PANDEF, at State House in Abuja, where they expressed a worry over the disintegrating peace in the state brought about by the crisis between the governor, Siminalayi Fubara, and the state lawmakers. President Tinubu, while expressing his confidence in the judiciary, urged members of the forum to compel the governor to implement the judgment of the court in a bid to foster peace in the state.
Oil and gas sector, which we all know is the backbone of a national revenue. that this is a nation of rule of law. I should not be here as the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria if there's no rule of law. I have total confidence in our judiciary. Expectations, human beings that make errors. But when the Supreme Court is spoken, they have said, please go back home and help him implement those recommendations within the shortest possible time.
Nigeria is a country of rule of law. He's saying that, you know, go back to the governor, tell him to implement these things. I mean, when the Supreme Court made this decision, even before he received a certified true copy of the judgment, as a law-abiding citizen, he did say he was going to abide by it.
Yeah, it feels like he's boxed in the corner and his hands are really now tied. He doesn't really have an option. I think beyond the governor obeying the rule of law, we should also appeal to the people of Rivers State.
27 lawmakers.
Yeah, the 27 lawmakers to one piece.
Minister.
Everybody should shed their swords, really. They should all shed their swords, because at the end of the day, it's not doing well for the governance in Rivers State. It's not doing well for the people. It just feels like everybody's fighting for their political interest. They should, for once, put the interest of the citizens, put the interest of the people.
So the last time we were here, Olive, the invitation was sent out, and of course, you know the latest now. The invitation was not honored.
Was turned down.
Because of the manner at which it was procedural irregularities. We heard that in Abuja too, with Natasha. It's becoming a lexicon in Nigerian socio-political discussions. What's the word again?
Political irregularities, is that it?
No, yes, irregularities, exactly. So, I mean, what's the way forward? How does a governor deal with lawmakers that are not even ready to play ball, sit down at the negotiating table?
I don't know.
Yeah, because he's doing his best. He can't unilaterally implement. He also, government works with three arms, the judiciary, the executive, and the legislature, to move the state forward. He is willing to do his part, but how do you move forward with an uncooperative legislature?
So the principle of separation of powers is to ensure that the power of one doesn't cross over to the other. So the governor, in his executive function, has his responsibilities. The legislators, you know, the House of Assembly, their legislative function have their responsibilities, and each should give each other mutual respect. But what we see in Nigeria is that they are either too chummy or they are arch enemies. Exactly. It's just like there's no middle divide. Yeah. So they're either too chummy and we're like, no, this is rubber stamp assembly. We don't want this. We want you to be able to be cordial with each other, but not too friendly. But then again, when they decide to not be cordial, they are now really just arch enemies, and that's not that's really not.
And I sense a sort of revenge and bad blood here,
because their fight was a nasty fight.
It's revenge. It
was a dirty fight.
Now, it's interesting that
the president is speaking now about it. The last time we heard the president make any reference to the crisis in Rivers State was when the peace accord was a conversation, which was a long time ago, when he invited, Siminalayi Fubara and Nyesom Wike to sign the peace accord, saying that the 27 lawmakers will return back to their position before the crisis ab initio, I believe. So it's just really a sad time, but we hope that...
You should have also extended this advice. I mean, the two parties here.
To Nyesom Wike...
Exactly, and the 27
After all, Nyesom Wike is his staff. He's the one that employs Nyesom Wike.
In Abuja.
When everybody says, oh, Nyesom Wike has been all too powerful, he's acted like he's all too powerful, that he's bigger than an institution, the only person that has the power to rein him in is the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, because that's his boss, that's the person who's employed him to serve in the capacity of minister. So if we never really did see the President speak about saying, Oga, face the FCT that I've given you to man, and leave Rivers State to do its thing. We never
it's
really
hundreds
saw
of kilometers away from Abuja,
and
it's distracted. But hopefully in the next coming days we'll see some peace or some movement towards achieving a lasting peace,
progress,
so that the allocation will be restored and will make a lot of progress. Absolutely.
All right. This is the conversations that we've looked at, a number of conversations this morning, and let's take you through them and also let you know what's coming up in the next hour. This morning on Breakfast Central, Army hands over 75 rescued persons to Borno government, large number of women and children, and we did take that report. Marketers lament fluctuating oil prices counts loss. We had the president of PETROAN join us to look at this. And President Tinubu urges parties to implement Supreme Court ruling. By parties, I believe he means Governor Siminalayi Fubara. But now let's hear what's coming up next.
Yes, coming up on Breakfast Central this morning, Senator Akpoti takes case to the United Nations, 6 Inter-Parliamentary Union's intervention. But also bring you the newspaper front pages right now. And which way Nigeria will be talking about the proposal to import trash from Europe, trash for cash. Do stay with us. Breakfast Central continues shortly.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central. Let's take you through the big stories making the headlines today. And joining us is Public Affairs Analyst G.D. Johnson. Good morning and welcome to the show.
It's a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you very much for joining us this morning.
All right, let's get into the papers this morning and start with our first one, the Daily Times newspaper. On the front page, Tinubu to Fubara, obey Supreme Court judgment for peace. Reps direct CBN to suspend increase in ATM transactions. Nigeria's foreign reserve exceeds $40 billion, according to the finance minister. IGP bans public parade of suspected criminals. Lati 19 Kini. It's not today we've been talking about this. Outbreak of meningitis kills 26 in KB. ECOWAS defense chiefs activate standby forces to tackle terrorism and border crimes. And that's all on front page. Oh, there's one more story. EFCC gets Supreme Court's nod to probe Peter Odili's tenure. That's all on the front page of the Daily Times. Let's go now to the Nigerian Tribune.
Now, the Nigerian Tribune, the headline there is Rivers crisis. Tinubu wants court rulings respected. And on top of that, ECOWAS activate standby force to fight terrorism. That's some positive news coming from the Tribune. And the Supreme Court upholds Aidetiwa's victory, dismisses Ajayi's case. They didn't just dismiss it, they ordered him to pay 2 million naira in cost to all the respondents in the case for wasting the time of the court. Yes, so be careful when you say, I'll take you to court. It might end up backfiring. 68 million poor Nigerians captured in national social register. That's a huge number. United States mission in Nigeria affirms robust relationship with the EFCC, and we've seen that in the last couple of years. We've seen Nigerian suspects travel to America with little or no visa application. If you think you can run away for justice, the FBI will find you and take you to America with no visa. Block all pornographic websites in Nigeria, reps tell NCC. And Osun local government crisis, PDP files contempt proceedings against APC local government chairman. Protests rock Ondo over abduction of another 9 surveyors. Ondo State has been news lately for very bad reasons, kidnappings and bandit attacks, and now this, quite sad. So there you have it. Let's start with our analysis of the, I believe, Tribune, and then we'll go back to Daily Times.
All right. On the front page of the Tribune, a number of stories here, but let's, maybe we should start on a much, I don't know if we should start on a much lighter note, if that can be considered a lighter note. Block all pornographic websites in Nigeria, reps tell NCC. We've seen different reactions to this. There are those who say that we have more, in fact, even on YouTube, they have more pressing issues, but there are others who say, yes, it's an issue that should be dealt with as well. Let's get your thoughts on that before we get into the more serious matters.
It tells you the mindset, what is the dominant issue in the mindset of the House of Rep member. There is a particular story which we read, which talks about social security capturing 68
million Nigerians.
Poor Nigerians, and that they didn't talk about that. It's about pornographic site. How do they know that they are pornographic site, except that they are also patrons of this pornographic site? So it tells you what's the dominant thought of a man, usually informs his thought pattern and his speech pattern. So as far as I'm concerned, do they need to tell NCC to do that before NCC does the needful? So they are well, all you need to do also is to take a trip to the National Assembly and you see the patrons of all of these things which we are talking about. They are, as far as I'm concerned, they are critical issue of national importance other than what they are talking about concerning pawn site or no pawn site for NCC to block.
Now, moving on to that very critical issue you talked about, 68 million poor Nigerians captured in National Social Register. If you contextualize that, that's the population of maybe the entire West African bloc, if I'm not mistaken. If you remove Nigeria, that's several countries of poor people. How do we deal with this issue of multidimensional poverty beyond, you know, giving goats and wheelbarrow and, you know, giving able-bodied men Okada to ride as a living? How do we break this jinx? I mean, Vietnam has done it. We're not reinventing the wheel. China has moved huge numbers of people out of poverty in less than a generation.
Well, are you sure that number actually captured the number of poor Nigerians? I'm sure the number will be in the region of 180 million.
Do you think that's conservative?
That's even conservative. And in my estimate, all you just need to do is to take a trip around the length and breadth of this country, and poverty will be screaming at you at every turn. You make so 68 million is, like you said, if you bring out the population of Nigeria, we said out of every 10 African, one is a Nigerian. If you even put it in context in Africa, that's a bigger problem. And how do we solve this problem? We can only solve this problem through serious government economic policy, bringing in the manufacturing sector, ensuring that there are opportunities for people to make investment. You make your country business investment friendly, with form of different types of tax reliefs that you provide, not in Nigeria that we impose different form of taxes. We increase VAT, we remove electricity. Look, I asked this question. I was in different parts of Lagos throughout yesterday, and virtually every place there was no light. And then I also attended an event organized by Standard Organization of Nigeria in Man House in Ikeja, and NEPA was, you have all of majority of captains, people that are home that have industries and the rest of it. And then the light was just fluctuating. And I told the guy who happens to be I said, that's the challenges you guys faced.
Exactly.
That's the challenge. So basically the issue of poverty is beyond giving wheelbarrows, beyond doing empowerment. You know, one of the ways they insult our sensitivity is when an elected member into the House of Rep or the Senate saying he's doing empowerment. That is, instead of making an enabling law to make the environment better, they'll be sharing wheelbarrow, they'll be sharing washing machine, they'll be sharing sewing machine, they'll be sharing all of them.
So you can start your laundry business.
So in what way has that changed the economy? In what way has it delivered people from poverty? So we need serious intervention in terms of industrialization to deliver people from poverty.
Whose job is it? We focus too much on the center in Abuja. We have other other levels of government, local government and state, and it seems, you know, these state governors get a free pass most times. Everybody's problem is in Aso Rock. It starts with Aso Rock. Is the one not responsible for my light, my dirty streets, everything? How do we begin to share this responsibility?
Because it's the present structure that we have, who allocates money to all the federating units. Who allocates money? It's the federal government. For example, we saw the story where the president was saying that Rivers State should obey the Supreme Court rule, and you have a Supreme Court ruling that says that allocation should be withheld from Rivers State pending the presentation of the budget to, and then Rivers State is one of the states that owns the oil through which Nigeria make money, and the states that contribute large amount of money into the federation account is being denied by the Supreme Court that sat in Abuja. And right. So you see that when people talk about that, we need to restructure the system. So there's too much power at the center, and that's why you see a lot of blame going to the center. Until we restructure, we devolve power, and we give power to the various constituent units, the local and the state. I can assure you that we'll still be passing the buck around whose responsibilities. You even look at what happened in Lagos State House of Assembly, for example. Decision couldn't even be taken in Lagos. Decision was taken elsewhere outside of Lagos. So we still have too much power at the center. I say this, in principle, we say we practice federalism, but in reality, we practice a unity system of government because everything revolves around the central government.
You practice what?
Unity system of government.
Okay, I thought I had something else. I can't even tell you what I had. Maybe we'll get off air. But we'll be heading now. We'll still come back to review some of the papers. We'll be heading now to Otedola Bridge, where we have our correspondent Nii Omoni to bring us live feed from there and to give us what the latest updates regarding the accident that occurred and the fires that we saw yesterday. Good morning, Nii. What's the true situation? We've been hearing multiple reports about lives being lost or lives not being lost. What's the true situation in Otedola Bridge?
Good morning. The truth is, words cannot start describing the wanton destruction and of the aftermath of the gas explosion we had here yesterday. And if you just see behind me, the scenery tells its own story, starting with the gas tanker there, which is equivalent of a 33-liter petrol tanker. Meanwhile, it's actually carrying gas. And just if you want to talk about the explosion covered about 300 to 400 meters, covering different areas here. Just on my right-hand side there, you will see a structure, a building, a one-story building completely destroyed. From information reaching me, the lower part of that structure has a dental clinic, which they have about 12 staffs, and thank God they had closed for the day before the incident at the call. And up there is where the landlord of that building actually stays. But let me focus on the scenery. This morning, as at the time we still came here, we could still see some fume oozing from the gas tanker this morning, and the firemen tried to take precautions to douse the fume. But even as at now, as I speak, if we look closely, you can still see fume very close to the tanker still oozing there, and I'm sure they are going to take another precautionary measure to avoid any sort of reignition. And you can see vehicles just beside the tanker here. Under this truck is a severed body, burns beyond recognition. Trapped under this truck right now, that can't be moved until this particular truck is moved away from here. And to my right hand side here, you will see vehicles that has been burnt as well beyond recognition. Some came in this morning crying. In fact, that white 18-seater bus, just you can see across me there, the man said he just had to repair a few things there, only for him to see the whole sky engulfed in flame, and he just had to run for his life. We have car owners to my far right down there also counting their losses, some who brought it for mechanic works, and now they can't even recognize their vehicles, top vehicles, which amounts to a lot of naira. But I'm here with the people who seem the most affected and are laying accusations against a particular gas station, which is just few blocks away from here. These are the mechanic owners. These are the tricycle owners, ESCOs, and owners of tricycles that are just right behind here. As at the time we came in this morning, there were still pockets of fire burning across their tricycles. Let me start with you, sir. What's your name?
My name is Moji Dogolua.
All right. Are you an ESCO here?
I'm ESCO of Marua Working National Union of Road Transport Worker. Okay.
You were laying accusation. You said you saw what happened. Who did you see, and who are you blaming for this incident?
What I saw yesterday, the time when this tanker was coming from this side, I saw him from Secretariat, because the Secretariat place is my own place. And one of the persons that was controlling because I see the way the driver was driving this truck, but I can't believe that this kind of things will happen. Suddenly from there, I just hear that this place was burned, because it's something after 6 in the night yesterday. So when they just come and tell us, what is surprised to me that my Marwa was here, I bring my Marwa to mechanic to come and repair the Marwa for me. When people will just come and call me that this is what is happening here, so things, we are just running come. Before nobody can enter here. We can't near this place that yesterday night. Look at this building. People was inside the building. They was shouting, "Hey, help, 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 help!" They write the name of that company. Second Coming is the owner of this truck, this gas. So suddenly, when this thing was happened that yesterday, nobody can rescue anyone anymore, because the fire was so powerful. Suddenly, our Marwa was there. More than 10 Marwa was burned. My own particularly was there too.
You mentioned that you saw the gas tanker coming from a particular gas station. What's the name of the gas station, and have you been there this morning?
We don't be the gas station this morning because I can't go to another person's business.
All right, what's the name of the gas station?
Second coming.
All right, so what's the next step for you now? What do you want?
What we want is this, because all this marijuana, I'm one of the marijuana school, and my mom marijuana was here personally. And all this marijuana we are talking about, we collect it higher purchase from people. And we don't have any opportunity anymore. As this thing was happened to us now, the owner will stand and want to collect his own money. We don't have any way. We are just begging the Lagos State government to just assist us to join hand to this issue, because the Lagos State government don't appear to this issue. They can use priority on us, and we don't want something like that, and we don't want anything like violence.
How much does a marijuana cost, a tricycle cost right now?
Marijuana now is more than 3.5 million, 3.8 million. That's the way they are selling it. And the higher purchase is 6 million, 5.2 million.
Thank you very much. You also have a marijuana here. You have a tricycle here. Now that this tricycle, you have 2 tricycles now that have been burnt down. How will you feed your family? What's the next step for you?
There's no any solution for me to feed my family again, because I have 2 marijuana there. So where I want to start. So when I need Lagos government, Sanwo-Olu, to help us, to join out to us, please.
Thank you very much. As you can see just behind me, all these people have 1, 2, 3, some even 4 tricycles just behind me here that have been rendered useless. In fact, they are burnt beyond recognition. I'd like us to take a look at it so you see the kind of destruction that has happened to the tricycle just behind me here. You can see some, according to reports we hear, have not even been touched. They have not been used at all. And this is just a few of what you can see. As at this morning when we came, there were still pockets of fire still burning across, even within these tricycles this morning. And you will see just on my left-hand side there, people are still gathered counting their loss. Counting a very huge loss. Some, these are vehicles they've not even paid for. They just brought them in from Apapa Wharf, according to information reaching us, and they've not even sold them. They've not collected funds for them. But let's move away from this and talk about presence of security operatives here. We have security operatives from the police, we have fire service, we have others that I can identify. Rapid Response Squad also is here. And let me also quickly identify the security, the traffic situation here. Just behind me, this point services the Otedola road, which links back to the Bega Road, outward Bega Road, with people coming from the CMD here, which has a whole estate called Magodo. This serves as a service area for them to connect to the Bega Road, and also for people coming from the Alausa Secretariat area of Lagos State to also connect back to the Bega Road. But as you can see now, the space has been cut off. They're just trying to manage one spot, one space to be able to take everything as it comes. The traffic situation is quite easy, and we're still waiting for evacuation of this particular truck, this particular tanker that caused this gas explosion.
Thank you, really.
Thank you very much.
And please extend our thoughts and our prayers to the people who are mourning the loss of their lives, loss of their loved ones and businesses. We cannot say who is under the vehicle yet, because from what you said, the body is burnt beyond recognition. But for the people who are mourning there and crying, please just extend our thoughts and our prayers to them. We'll see you around. And we're coming back into the studio. Let's have you react to that. This Otedola Bridge, when we started the show, we talked about it and how it seems to be a hot spot for accidents.
It's about design. The design of that particular linkage, you know, if you are coming from the Lagos end and you have come, you just go down into a valley and then you rise. And it's about the design. And once there's problem with the design, we see it even in social sciences. Once there's problem with your design, you can't get it determines the outcome of your research procedure. My father was an engineer, so I know a little bit about design. So that design, there's something that needs to be done to lever it up so that you don't go down into into a steep. And there are too many accidents in that tanker explosion to ignore. And there's the only way to solve that problem is to elevate that. It's simple as I'm not an engineer, but the basic knowledge that I have, that's the solution to that particular problem. Otherwise, every year we'll be having close to 6, 7, 8 tanker explosion, loss of life and property, and then it will, because we are short, my memory is so short, we forget about it and we move on with life.
Exactly.
Another thing I want to add quickly is this. This incident happens, a natural disaster. Where is the House of Assembly member?
Representing that constituency.
Where is the House of Rep member? Where is the senator? Now imagine natural disaster happening in the United States of America. And where is the governor? You will have seen all of these officials will have gone to this. It is not only when we are looking for votes that we seek out
first point of business for the day, the most important
business of the people have lost their lives, they've lost their means of livelihood, and there should be a response. Look at the way first responders have responded. Look at the conduct of the police in a disaster scene. You could see people could even access it. It was not cordoned off. People could access it. Anybody was just going about business. We saw security agencies playing with their phone. It's ridiculous.
I mean, Niyi also mentioned something. It's 8:23 a.m. There's a body, there's a corpse lying under.
Burns beyond
recognition. The dignity of that human being. It should have been extracted a long time ago. You have men of the Lagos State Fire and Rescue Service there. Nothing has been done. It's this culture of, let's just anyhowness is really sad, and we need to. Everybody just needs to do their jobs.
What about taking away the vehicles? Why do we spend the vehicles and everything? Clear the place since 6 p.m. yesterday till this morning. If it's to send security agencies to go to the State House of Assembly or to go to the Senate or to go and demolish a property, it's easier.
Okay. And if that place is not cleared, very soon people will start gathering. We like tourist attraction. Let's go and see.
We've seen a lot of people gathered there already.
All right. Let's move to another story. It's a really sad one. Our hearts are with the people who are mourning, and we'll bring more updates as we receive them. But let's quickly touch on the Punch newspaper. I want us to talk on this story because it's a big story. Killing spree, anger over herders, deadly attacks in Ondo, Benue, Nasarawa, 30 killed. Ondo protesters, regent attack government over killings. Benue local government secretariat, palace raised. ECOWAS defense chiefs activate standby force. Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso. Those three they don't look like they have our time. So it's moving on. Marketers project 800 naira per litre as imported petrol's cost drops. 5 billion naira vehicle purchase depends Obasa Miranda feud. Tinubu meets Niger Delta leaders. Fubara plans meeting with pro-Wike lawmakers. These are the stories on the front page of the Punch, and I think we have, as quickly as we can, the Nation newspaper.
Okay, let's see what we have on the front page of the Nation. Tinubu to Fubara, comply fully with Supreme Court verdict. The writer says, please go home and help him implement those recommendations. The president urges the pan-deaf group that visited him in the presidential villa. ECOWAS activates 5,000 strong standby force, and gas tanker fire under Otedola Bridge causes gridlock and lots of destructions. Nimet also predicts intense heat.
They don't need to predict it, we can see it. All of us are feeling the heat.
When the people that invented the air conditioner.
Yes, the rashes are terrible. And anyway, let's quickly talk about the Ondo State and the killing sprees and the herders' deadly attacks.
And the funniest thing about that story? See, the editorial pictures of the Punch newspaper, the 3 editorial pictures are about defense chief. What are they defending? You could see the 3. It's about the editorial picture.
I can see that.
The editorial picture.
ECOWAS defense chiefs.
And then the major story
is killing spree.
Killing spree. And they should be ashamed of themselves, because this is an indictment that even they are wooing Mali, wooing Burkina Faso, and Niger. And yet those countries have better security than even those ECOWAS chiefs. So as far as I'm concerned, it's unfortunate that we have a situation where people can't go to bed or go about their normal business without the peace of mind.
New development here. Some of these deadly attacks used to be in the Middle Belt and the Northeast and Northwest.
It's coming closer.
It's coming closer to the coastal areas. What do you think is responsible for this?
It will come closer because we reward bad behavior. When you see somebody repentant Boko Haram,
de-radicalize them.
De-radicalize them. I don't know what measure or what metrics you use to measure somebody is de-radicalized, and then you reward bad behavior. You government pay ransom to. Let's ask ourselves this question: how many terrorists have we prosecuted? And then how many kidnappers have we prosecuted and made example of? So when you have a system whereby people can commit crime and they can go free with it, and it provides.
And it encourages impunity.
Others to. Let me quickly end with this particular story which we talked about earlier about this EFCC getting a court order to on the perpetual injunction that was given to. I think that if we really want to move forward, I've said it over time, if we really want to move forward and we really want to fight corruption, you know what we start from? We should investigate all governors, including the sitting president. All governors that served between 1999 and 2007. Those first set of governors, we need to investigate them. If we investigate, including the sitting president, they were the people that
means you have to go back to the immunization clause.
You see that the issue is about Odili. Odili was the first governor of Rivers State in this dispensation. Oji Uzokalu, remember Oji Uzokalu? Oji Uzokalu was a governor of Abia State. You know about his case that they changed the judge and he went to prison for 6 months.
So how is he able to get a perpetual injunction? Because what it means is, you cannot investigate me. That's a super injunction. What kind of powers? Who gives?
He tells you about the state capture. Don't forget that the wife was Justice of the Supreme Court. Don't forget. And you will see an attempt by the present political class to ensure that their wife are elevated. They are elevated to the status of Supreme Court. You've seen the pattern. You have also seen the pattern of the wife of a prominent politician for in Rivers State, whose wife has left the state judiciary and has gone to the appeal court. It's just a matter of time. She'll find herself in the Supreme Court, and then she'll make pronouncement, and people will see, respect the judgment of the Supreme Court. Like the president said, that we should respect the judgment of the Supreme Court.
I mean, just reminded me of that senator who talked about his wife and his wife was in the judiciary. I can't forget Bukachua.
That said that he knew some of his colleagues. You know that food and sleep. Yeah. There are some of his colleagues that came to meet him concerned for his wife.
Know it was an indictment.
So and people will tell us to have confidence and trust in the judiciary. The judiciary has become politicized. I'm sure if we do the credibility index of the judiciary, it will be lower than that of the legislature and the executive.
My
it's unfortunate.
Goodness. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us this morning to review the papers.
Thank you very much.
All right, that's all we have regarding the papers this morning. We'll go on a quick break, and when we come back, we have another conversation bringing you the latest update on Senator, I don't know if to call her Senator at this point, but yes, Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan and Senator Godswill Akpabio. She's gone to the United Nations, and we'll talk about that in a moment.
The controversy surrounding Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan's accusations against Nigerian Senate President Godswill Akpabio and expulsion from the Red Chamber, suspension, I beg your pardon, doesn't seem to be going away anytime soon. This is due to the suspended Kogi senator's decision to take a case to a worldwide forum yesterday. Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan has called for justice as she involved the international democratic institutions during the Women in Parliament session at the Inter-Parliamentary Union at the United Nations in New York.
Honorable good afternoon, President of the IPU. Good afternoon, colleagues. I come with a heavy heart from Nigeria, but first I'd like to apologize to Honorable Kafila Ogbara. I am not here to bring shame to our country. I'm here to seek help for the women of Nigeria. Again, my name is Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. 5 days ago, on the 6th of March 2025, I was suspended. As a senator, I was suspended illegally because I submitted a petition of sexual harassment against the President of the Nigerian Senate, Senator Godswill Akpabio. I thought that by submitting the petition, he would recuse himself, and both of us will submit ourselves to the Committee on Ethics, Privileges, and Public Petition for a fair and transparent investigation. But unfortunately, I was silenced and I was suspended. I was suspended for 6 months, amongst many other stringent conditions, such as taking away my security, taking away all the officials, vehicles, and other items that were handed over to me as a senator. My salaries will be cut off. I must not appear anywhere near the National Assembly. And for 6 months, I'm not to introduce myself or present myself as a senator locally in Nigeria or internationally. That means I'm here illegally. But I had no other place to go but to come here and speak to you women, because this is a bigger picture.
Wow, quite a deep conversation there, and joining us to explore the legality or the illegality and the implications of Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan's latest action is a senior advocate of Nigeria, SAN, Magaji Mato Ibrahim. Leonard Silk, thank you very much for joining us on the show this morning.
So much for having me. Good morning.
Good morning. I think this is a card that many people didn't expect to see. It feels like we're unveiling different layers of this story. Let's talk about the implication of this appearance, you know, the legality or otherwise. She said in that video that because she's been banned from introducing herself in her capacity as a senator for the next 6 months, nationally or globally, that she's there illegally. What are the implications of her having made this report, and do you think that this would have any influence in the overall decision of the Senate?
Well, I think this has been a very trending issue, and so far we're full with misfeelings on the attitude of the Senate regarding the issue that surrounds distinguished Senator Natasha. But I think most importantly is the fact that the matter itself is sub judice, the matter is in court. But whatever it is that the Union of Parliament of the United Nations can do will also be subject to Nigerian law, and of course the matter which is before the court for adjudication. When you listen to the whole episode, I think one thing that sounds very clear is the fact that she was not given really fair hearing. And I think that has always been my worry and my concern. If there is a petition, it might turn out to be a frivolous petition. Yes, no problem. But I think based on the Constitution, specifically Section 36, that petition ought to be investigated. If it is found to be frivolous, they don't want to do that. Probably based on the rules of the Senate, there might even be a sanction that you have brought the Senate to a ridicule, so you have to face A and B as your sanction and the rest. But to rush, even after assigning the petition to the Committee on Ethics and Privileges for investigation, then you rush quickly and say, okay, because you have disobeyed the rules, you have to leave the Senate, you are on suspension. And I think that is the area that he's also been emotional about. I have protested. Is it a crime to complain? If I have complained and it's not a crime, then why don't you investigate me? And if you found that I am wrong, then you take the appropriate sanction on me. But to sanction before the hearing, I think that's a clear breach of constitutional right, a fair hearing.
Now, we've heard commentary from the spokesperson of the Nigerian Senate saying, you know, things that happen in the Senate, the court does not have jurisdiction over internal matters of the Nigerian Senate. Does this accusation fall under that purview, and what do you make of this?
Now, very unfortunately, that will not stand. You know, yes, he might argue very well, and maybe in line with the law also. But unfortunately, rightly or wrongly, the matter has gone to court. there was an order, I was told, restraining them from taking further steps as regards the particular senator. Now, that order might have been issued wrongly, but that doesn't stop it from being what it is, the order of court. Now, you cannot sit in the comfort of your chambers or in your office and decide that the court that issued the order does not have jurisdiction. It takes that same court, based on argument canvas, citing the law by your own lawyer, that, my lord, you don't have the powers to issue this order. And you wrongly issued it, so you are misguided. Kindly set it aside. Or where the court said, I will not set it aside, you go on appeal and have it set aside. But you cannot. You don't have the right to decide to make an order. Because what they said is that the court does not have jurisdiction. And then they decided on their own to violate the order of the court. Well, that is wrong. That is not part of the Nigerian legal jurisprudence. Yes, the court might have issued the order wrongly, but you are not the one who will decide that the order is wrong. It takes the same pronouncement of the court or a superior court, an appeal court, to say, oh, the order issued to her was wrong and is hereby set aside. Then you can go ahead and so I think that is why they got it wrong. Their argument might be valid, but they got it wrong because the law is clear and it is right that orders and judgment of court must be obeyed until they are set aside. Here we have a situation where the order was made and not set aside. And they're already saying on their own. So they are now the appeal court, which is wrong. And this again, they make the law. This is so sometimes it's just that most times in Nigeria we just do things the way we feel we want it to be done, and then we are not happy each time it goes against us. And that is where we are. That is where we are, and that is why we are always in problem. Otherwise, in a civilized setting, there was a petition, and the petition was submitted to the glare of the general public. Now, like she is even making that argument, it's true. If the petition is against the presiding officer of the Red Chambers, then of course it behoves on him to say, oh, the petition is against me, let me step down, and then someone else preside. He has the deputy.
But they said the petition, they mentioned procedural errors in her presentation of that petition. That's why they said it's dead on arrival.
Yeah, but there was a pronouncement by the Senate President. I listened to that proceeding. There was a pronouncement by the Senate President delegating that particular petition to a committee for investigation. So where is the procedural error? If there was a procedural error, then it shouldn't have even been sent to a committee for investigation. But having done so, it means the Senate itself waived all those procedural errors. Now, since you have already assigned a committee to investigate the matter, it behoves on you to await the outcome. You can influence the speedy investigation and make sure maybe you can even give them 2 days and say in the next 2 days come back and report to the chambers what your findings is. So you act on it. And then if you found in the course of the investigation that in fact the petition itself has not been brought through the proper procedure, then you can take a stand on it, either to say it's not worthy of investigation, so it's thrown out, or whatever. You see, the whole idea is unfair hearing. The Senate might also not be wrong in their approach because they say they have rules, but whatever rules they have is subject to the Nigerian Constitution. It's subject to the Nigerian Constitution, and that is the stand. If you found that a particular procedure was wrong, and you have already assigned it for investigation, it is your duty bound to await the investigation, rightly or wrongly. Then again, the same distinguished senator has rushed to court to obtain an order. She might have gone to the wrong court that has no jurisdiction, or in fact, the court has no jurisdiction at all. But that there was an order of court, like I said before, rightly or wrongly, you obey, and then you now get your team of lawyers, go to the court, challenge that order. Of course, if the law is in your favor, the order will be set aside, and automatically you come back and continue with your. But we're in a hurry, and we paint a very ugly image in the globe, and then we just do things because we feel we are in power, and then that power we don't even know that power is limited, and then that power will come to an end. So actually, if you ask me my opinion on this, I will fault them on the basis of lack of fair hearing. That is my stand.
I mean, so many angles to that, the lack of fair hearing, the fact that a party must not be a judge in his own course, and we might have seen that play out. But let's talk about, now that she's taking it to the Inter-Parliamentary Union, what are the implications of this? Do they have any influence on the decisions of the Senate? And what picture does it paint of Nigeria's Senate, Nigeria's lawmaking red chamber to the international community?
It is very unfortunate. To me, it's an ugly picture. And then if you look at it, in advanced climes, most times they don't even wait for this issue to be judged. Some of them will just resign and say, okay, there is this allegation against me, and I think I'm not fit to continue my position. But in Nigeria, we have seen so many shameful things happening, and then we don't even have the shame, and that is the unfortunate thing. So that is the global disgrace. Then when you look at her, whatever going to, at this stage, she is helpless. And you know, when you are sick, you are looking for medicine, wherever you are offered, wherever you are told that you can get help, you rush there. Now, they might not have, I don't know whether there is any inter-regional or intercontinental law that governs the operation of the Parliamentary Union, but whatever it is, if there is no such treaty that Nigeria is a signatory to, then obviously whatever they are doing, they may not have the force of law, but they will have influence politically. And you know very well, no country would like to paint itself badly before the country, the world. So by the time they take a stand at that level, it means that they will be able to probably speak to the Nigerian government and then make the Nigerian government see reason why this matter should not be swept under the carpet like the Senate is trying to do.
All right. Leonard Essien, thank you for your time with us this morning. The next few days we will unravel more with regards to the story, and we'll see whether the Senate will maybe bow to whatever pressure might be coming from the IPU. Thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you very much.
So much for having me.
All right. We're going to break, and when we come back, it's time for Which Way Nigeria?
Nigeria, are we really doing this? Are we serious about letting Europe turn us into its dumping ground? Let's be real, we already have a waste crisis. Our streets overflowing with plastic, our drainage systems clogged beyond repair, our landfills bursting at the seams. And instead of fixing our own mess, our government has decided to import waste from Europe. Import! Like we're running short on trash. They say it's non-hazardous, fly ash, rags, paper waste, nothing to see here, right? But let's ask the obvious question. If this waste is so harmless, why isn't it staying in Europe? Why isn't it piling up in London, Paris, Berlin, or Amsterdam? Simple, because it's cheaper to ship it off to a country with weak environmental laws than to deal with it themselves. Let's call it what it is. This is waste colonialism. The rich countries make the mess and the poorer ones get to clean it up. And guess who just volunteered to take out Europe's trash? Us, yes. And let's talk about transparency. Who signed this dirty deal? Who exactly did the government consult before agreeing to make Nigeria the EU's junkyard? We should be focusing on cleaning up our own act, building recycling industries, investing in sustainable waste management, creating jobs in the green economy. But no, our leaders rolling out the red carpet for Europe's trash like it's some kind of foreign investment. And to the EU, if your waste is truly safe, keep it. Deal with it in Brussels, in Vienna, in Stockholm, or Zurich. Don't ship it to us and expect a thank you. This decision must be reversed immediately. The National Chemicals Management Committee must step in. The government must be held accountable. And the people must speak up, because if we allow this, we're not just polluting our land, we're trashing our dignity. Nigeria is not a dumping ground, and we refuse to be treated like one. As Olamide once said, let's leave the trash for Loma. Good morning, Nigerians.
A great way to close it. Like Olamide said, leave trash for Loma, and that's the Lagos Waste Management Authority. I think that it's important that we have this conversation so it doesn't just become something that happens behind our backs. It's bad enough that we already have, we seem to be the headquarters for the dumping ground for the West. The number of products that will not fly in the West, even up to food, certain standards that they will not pass. In the UK, for example, it's allowed here.
And I'm sure you drive past the Ojota landfill every day by your right if you're heading
back to the island.
It's already bursting at its seams. So where's the space to take more trash? Europe says it's non-hazardous. Okay, it's non-hazardous.
And then leave it to your country now. Yes. Please, we of course will be sharing with you what's happening later today to urge you to please stick around for more other interesting shows. I don't want to say more interesting because my producer would not like that, even though this is the most interesting. Anyway, let's share with you what's happening later today. 10 a.m. we have Jasiri. 12 p.m. West African time we bring you the news, News Central Now, and 10 p.m. West African time. It's tonight. As we wrap up the show today, I want to use this opportunity to give a special shout out to Munachi, the travel queen, to wish you a very happy birthday and many, many happy years. And this is how we wrap up today's show. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back again same time tomorrow. Join us for some of the biggest political stories. I am Olive Emodi.
And I'm Benga Boro. Remember to join us tomorrow and every day here on News Central Television.
Au revoir.